Alert, new mask order from Dr. Fauci. With almost half the population vaccinated in America, many are anxious to learn when the dreaded COVID regulations will come to an end. The leading expert, Dr. Fauci, has given many mixed signals throughout the process. Even as a vaccinated person himself, Fauci continues to wear 2 masks and has advised others to do the same. But on Sunday, Fauci made note of some possible changes that may be coming. He suggested outdoor mask wearing may be scratched off his long list of COVID requirements soon. If you're vaccinated, obviously the risk is minuscule, Fauci told ABC, which seems like a reversal from his recent comments that vaccinated people should remain masked around others. Fauci also suggested that America is heading in the right direction when it comes to fighting the virus. Watch for yourself.
I don't want to get ahead of them, George, but I think it's pretty common sense now that outdoor risk is really, really quite low. Particularly, if you were a vaccinated person wearing a mask outdoors, obviously the risk is minuscule. What I believe you're going to be hearing, what the country is going to be hearing soon, is updated guidelines from the CDC. The CDC is a science-based organization. They don't want to make any guidelines unless they look at the data and the data backs it up. But when you look around at the common sense situation, obviously the risk is really very low, particularly if you're vaccinated.
Here's why President Biden's State of the Union address doesn't really count. On Wednesday evening, President Joe Biden will appear before Congress to deliver a joint address. Usually, all of Congress attends and the invitation to speak is delivered by the Speaker of the House. When that happens, the event is considered an official State of the Union address, but that's not the case this time. Speaker Nancy Pelosi did send the invitation to Joe Biden in an adoring letter, but she chose a day when Congress was not in session to perhaps intentionally exclude most members of Congress from attending. In her letter to the president, she wrote, "Nearly 100 days ago, when you took the oath for office, you pledged in a spirit of great hope that help is on the way. Now, because of your historic and transformative leadership, help is here. In that spirit, I am writing to invite you to address a joint session of Congress on Wednesday, April 28th, to share your vision for addressing the challenges and opportunities of this historic moment." A historic moment, it seems, that she doesn't want many people to see. Considering that the attendance from members of Congress will be low and that President Biden has only been in office 100 days, the address is not considered an official State of the Union address. The president is expected to focus on climate change legislation, efforts to combat the pandemic, and his expensive infrastructure package. Tim Scott delivered the rebuttal to Biden's joint address, and it was amazing. On Wednesday night, President Biden delivered his first joint address in front of a small audience at the Capitol. He discussed his unpopular plans for climate change regulations, gun control, and steered into liberal narratives for reimagining or defunding the police. Republican leaders chose Senator Tim Scott to respond because, according to Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, he is one of our most inspiring and unifying leaders in our nation. Scott's message was in sharp contrast to Biden's. Scott said clearly that America is not a racist country, while Biden chose to say that systemic racism plagues American life. And it's safe to say it was more well-received than Biden's speech. Here's what many are considering the best moment.
When America comes together, we've made tremendous progress, but powerful forces want to pull us apart. 100 years ago, kids in classrooms were taught the color of their skin was their most important characteristic. And if they looked a certain way, they were inferior. Today, kids are being taught that the color of their skin defines them again. And if they look a certain way, they're an oppressor. From colleges to corporations to our culture, people are making money and gaining power by pretending we haven't made any progress at all, by doubling down on the divisions we've worked so hard to heal. You know this stuff is wrong. Hear me clearly. America is not a racist country. It's backwards to fight discrimination with different types of discrimination. And it's wrong to try to use our painful past to dishonestly shut down debates in the present. I'm an African American who has voted in the South my entire life. I take voting rights personally. Republicans support making it easier to vote and harder to cheat. And so do the voters. Big majorities of Americans support early voting and big majorities support voter ID, including African Americans and Hispanics. Common sense makes common ground. But today, this conversation has collapsed. The state of Georgia passed a law that expands early voting, preserves no excuse mail-in voting, and despite what the president claimed, did not reduce election day hours. If you actually read this law, it's mainstream. It will be easier to vote early in Georgia than in Democrat-run New York. But the left doesn't want you to know that. They want people virtue signaling by yelling about a law they haven't even read. Fact checkers have called out the White House for misstatements. The president absurdly claims that this is worse than Jim Crow. What is going on here? I'll tell you, a Washington power grab. This misplaced outrage is supposed to justify Democrats' new sweeping bill that would take over elections for all 50 states. It would send public funds to political campaigns you disagree with and make the bipartisan Federal Elections Commission partisan. This is not about civil rights or our racial past. It's about rigging elections in the future. And no, the same filibuster that President Obama and President Biden praised when they were senators, the same filibuster that the Democrats used to kill my police reform bill last year, has not suddenly become a racist relic just because the shoe is now on the other foot. Race is not a political weapon to settle every issue the way one side wants. It's far too important.